Introduction. It's September 2025, and I'm sitting on a tour bus bouncing along the road toward Ephesus. Our guide is one of those people who actually likes history. He was a history major, and he's been narrating the whole ride. What's been uncovered? What's still buried? Archaeological finds yet to be published. Which ruins belong to which century? I'm half listening, half staring out the window, enjoying the blue sky over the landscape. Then the bus rounds a curve. The guide points out the right side. "That's where we're going," he says. "Up there, top of that hill." We all lean and crane our necks. That's where Mary lived. I blink. Mary? Like Mary? Virgin Mother Mary? He keeps going, like he just said, "Turkey is known for its donor." At the foot of the cross, Jesus entrusted the care of his mother to John, and we know John lived in Ephesus. Yep, that Mary. Church tradition says John brought Mary with him here. So why is her house up there? He points again. John thought it would be safer if she lived outside the city, and there's a spring with fresh water at the top of the hill. Okay, that makes sense. Hide her away. Give her water. Keep her alive. But then he says the next thing, casual, almost offhand, and it hits me like a spark in dry grass. Church tradition says that near the end of her life, she asked John to call all the apostles together, one last time. And my mind just flies. One last gathering. One last meal. Men who saw everything. Men who got chased, beaten, imprisoned, and still kept going. Imagine the stories, the arguments, the laughter, the grief, the hope. Imagine Mary, old, tired, still fierce, listening to them, and then telling her own memories of Jesus like only a mother could. I remember thinking, right there on the bus, that would make an incredible story. So that's what this is. It's a work of fiction. And as I researched, I learned that early Christian traditions don't all agree. Some place Mary's last home in Ephesus, others in Jerusalem. But what we do know is this. Filled with the Holy Spirit, Mary and the apostles never stopped talking about Jesus. Starting in a small upper room in Jerusalem, hiding from the authorities who had murdered their leader. Somehow that fragile beginning became a movement that spread throughout the Roman Empire, and is still spreading today.
Chapter 1. Mary.
Damaris. The climb is harder than it used to be. The hill isn't bigger, but the burden I carry is heavier. The stones on Mount Caressos bite through my sandals. Cold refuses to leave them. Pine needles dampen the path, and the wind smells sharp. Resin, wet earth, and the spring near Mary's house tinkles quietly. Carrying the clay pot of broth in both hands, I still slosh it. "Careful," John says, behind me. Not loud. He speaks gently, even when delivering hard commands. "That pot has more courage than you do right now." I huff. The pot isn't afraid of losing anyone. John's steps are efficient, measured. His back is straight, but the years have bent something in him. Not his spine, but in his soul. Gray threads have taken over his dark hair, tied back with a strip of cloth. His eyes look like he's been up all night, working some problem. His hands, though, stay steady. Righter hands now. John bought Mary's house here, 7 uphill kilometers from Ephesus, because in the city, eyes are everywhere. The Temple of Artemis, in Roman eyes, and neighbors who only pretend. We pass through a cluster of pines to a few olive trees before we reach the porch. Inside, the air tastes damp, like rope left in a boat after rain. And then I hear it, a cough, deep, tearing, like the seam of a tent splitting. I stop so fast, the broth slaps the rim. John is past me in 2 steps. For a man who moves slowly, he can move fast when it matters. He doesn't speak. He just holds up one finger. Listen. Another cough. Wet. Angry. I swallow. My throat tightens the way it did on the docks 4 years ago, when the sea refused to return my husband. No body meant no goodbye, no stone to touch. Grief is a door that never shuts. I set the pot down harder than I mean to. We live in Ephesus, John and I. We have our own houses, our own work. But for weeks now, we have been here, in this house, on the hill, because Mary came down with a winter sickness she can't shake. Pneumonia, the healer called it. A word that sounds too clean for something that steals breath. There is a small church in Ephesus supporting us. Quiet believers who meet in homes, in back rooms, and pretend they are only sharing bread. They send oil, herbs, dried figs, and women come up the hill to help me. Penelope, who carries herself like someone used to, being obeyed in emergencies. Junia, who asks too many questions and talks too much. I wipe my palms on my tunic and pick up the pot again. Mary's door is closed. Rough wood, warped a little from damp. I press my ear to it. Breathing. Shallow. Bargaining. Damaris? Mary's voice leaks through the crack, thin and hoarse, still hers. It's me, I say. I try to make my voice light, like a hummingbird. I brought broth, not the bitter kind. There's no need. There is, I say, because arguing with Mary is now part of my calling. I'm coming in. John appears at my shoulder, holding a folded cloth and a cup of spring water. He holds them like they are holy things. You go first, he murmurs. Always, I mutter, and push the door open. Warmth should greet me. It doesn't. The room feels like a cave that forgot what summer is. The smell hits first. Pine resin, old wool, and the faint sour edge sickness leaves behind. A brazier sits cold near her feet. We don't light it much. Smoke triggers her coughs. Mary lies under blankets, small in the bed, smaller than yesterday. Her skin is thin as parchment. Her hair has gone mostly silver, kept in 2 simple braids. But her eyes open. They are steady eyes, dark and unnervingly present. Eyes that have watched powerful men pretend they are gods and still chose mercy. You're fussing, she says. 3 words, a whole accusation. I'm caring, I answer, and lift the spoon. She turns her head and coughs again. The sound claws at my ribs. John is at her side with the cloth before I even move. His hands are gentle but firm. I keep the spoon steady so it doesn't rattle and betray me. Mary pulls the cloth away. A smear of red stains it. My stomach rolls. A bitter taste rises like seawater in my throat. John doesn't flinch. He only folds the cloth so the stain disappears, like he can hide blood with fabric. Mary watches my face. Don't look like that. How should I look? The words come out sharper than I want, like I'm counting olives. Her eyes soften. Counting olives would calm you. It is almost teasing. Almost. I feed her 3 spoonfuls. On the 4th, she turns her head away. That's enough. That's a greeting, I say. Not a meal. I'm not hungry. I want to tell her what I'm hungry for, to keep her here, to keep her voice in this house, to keep my grief from doubling, but the words stick like bread without water. John steps closer. Rest, he says. Mary turns her face back toward him. John. He stills, as if her voice has tied a rope around his chest. The dream, she whispers, conserving breath. I freeze. My fingers tighten on the bowl. John's voice drops low. Later. Mary's eyes sharpen, even through sickness. Now. I've seen that look before. Women in the market standing their ground, against a bully. Mothers telling a child not to step into fire. Mary's body is weak, but her will is still a mast in wind. John exhales once. Go on, he says, like he is surrendering. Mary's voice comes in short steps, like walking uphill on bad legs. Last night, I saw Elizabeth. My heart stumbles. Elizabeth, the old woman, the cousin, the one who carried a miracle late in life. Stories in our house church mention her like they mention a distant mountain. Real, but hard to imagine up close. And Zechariah, Mary adds. He was writing, couldn't speak. John's jaw works. He looks like a man bracing for a wave. The way his fist is clenched, thumb tapping his finger, says he's anxious. Mary's fingers curl on the blanket, as if she is grasping something slippery. They were young again, laughing. Her eyes close. And I was young. The air in the room thickens. Outside, wind combs through pine needles. The spring runs on, indifferent. Mary opens her eyes. They lock on me. She wets her lips, gathering her breath. There is a beginning you must know. My skin prickles. The room feels suddenly smaller, as if the past is pressing in. Mary lifts a trembling hand, fingers curling as if grasping a memory. Describe him, she murmurs, more to herself than to us. So you don't lose it. John's face tightens. He looks away for a heartbeat, then back, embarrassed and sad, as Mary loses her grip on the present. Mary's voice steadies for a few breaths. He is tall. Not tall like a soldier who wants to be seen. Tall like cedar that doesn't brag. She swallows. His face, shaped, strong. His eyes, bright, like sunlight, breaking through the clouds. Her breathing catches. His voice, not loud, but it fills the room with authority. His cloak, impossibly white. A chill runs up my arms. I've heard angel stories, men selling wonder for coin. Mary has always been piercingly honest. Always. An angel? I ask. Yes. John's whisper is a warning and a prayer at once. Mother. But Mary pushes on, as if the words are fish slipping from her hands. Zechariah saw him too, she says. In the temple. Her eyes widen, and for a moment she looks younger, as if the past has grabbed her by the shoulders. My heart trips. How could you know that? Mary's gaze pins me, because I told Zechariah what I saw, and he knew. John closes his eyes briefly, like a man swallowing a hook. When he opens them, they are steady again. Betrothed and pregnant. Wicked, they whispered. Adulterous, they charged. And in the midst of my fear, Mary whispers, God gave me reassurance, a shared miracle, and Zechariah believed. She draws a shallow breath. That gift was such a blessing, until it became a spear piercing my soul. Piercing, I whisper, because my mind can't fit the pieces together. Mary's mouth trembles. Zechariah said the Messiah will sit on a throne, so I expected a king like David. Storing up breath, the angel said God will give him the throne of David. The finish comes soft, not dramatic, just true. I got a cross. John flinches, small, but real, like the word still has splinters. Thumb tapping his finger, I lean close without meaning to. Mary, don't talk like you're leaving. Her eyes soften. I'm not leaving yet. A pause. Breath counted. But I am preparing you. John's voice firms. That's enough for today. Mary's eyes flash. Her body is frail, but her authority is immovable. Then her body betrays her. She coughs again, harder. The cloth returns to her mouth. When she pulls it away, there is more red. The room tilts. I grip the bed frame to keep from falling, and inside my head, the sea rises. The day I watched a ship go out and not come back. Grief has a smell. Salt and tar and unanswered prayers. I'm unaware of my fingers rubbing the small seashell. A lone keepsake. Mary catches John's wrist and squeezes. John, she says, listen. I am listening, he whispers. No, she swallows. Listen to what I want. John shifts, ready to argue again, thumb tapping faster. Mary looks past him, as if she can see through his ribs. I want them here, all of them. I stare at her. Mother, Peter, she breathes. Philip, Paul, the others. Her eyes glisten. Before, I can't. John's voice is careful. His eyes flash to the doorway. If we call them, we risk them. And if we don't, Mary says, we risk losing the beginning. The beginning, the part she says they must know. My skin tightens. There are things even the apostles don't know. That feels like stepping onto a rope bridge in wind. Mary's grip strengthens, surprising me. I need to share the beginning of my story with them. John's jaw clenches. Mother, Mary cuts him off, not loud. John, the name lands like a command. He goes still. I find my voice. If they come, they will be seen. People always see. My words rush like a gale. Rome watches. The Artemis priesthood watches. If they think the apostles are gathering, let them, Mary whispers. That's madness, I say, turning the seashell over. Mary's eyes sharpen. Love looks like madness to people who worship fear. A part of me wants to agree. Another part wants to lock the door and lie to the world until spring. John speaks, slow. If we do this, we do it with care. Mary closes her eyes. Her breath rasps. Promise me. John's voice softens. I will try. Mary's eyes snap open. Not try. Call them. Silence fills the room. Outside, wind pushes the shutters. I think of Ephesus below. Fish and incense and coin. The great temple of Artemis, rising like a mountain people pay to please. The priesthood says, Artemis demands unanimous offerings, or she will not give fertility and abundance. People believe it. Hunger makes belief easy. And lately, the priesthood has been tighter, sharper, like a fist. Mary coughs again, and then says, quieter, do not let your fear steal this. Fear. Mary knows fear. She carried it like a hidden blade her whole life. Mother, he begins, careful. It is risky. It has always been risky. She cuts in, and her voice scratches but holds. From the upper room in Jerusalem to the ends of the Roman Empire, his message is spreading. Did you think it would spread like honey in a jar? Sweet and safe. John's eyes narrow slightly. No. When he called fishermen, she whispers, He didn't promise calm seas. He promised new work. John's face softens at that. Memory moves in him like tide. Tell me your plan, she says again, gentler this time. He hesitates, his mind forming a plan, weighing risks. She lifts a trembling hand and grasps his wrist. My breath is thin, she whispers, but my mind is clear. Tell me. He nods once, the nod of a man stepping into waves. I have messengers, he exhales. Claudius, Elias, Zebulun, Reuben, Aaron. You trust them. I trust their feet, he says dryly, and their fear of you. His eyes crinkle with a smile. Mary's laugh breaks out, suddenly, stealing her conserved breath, holding a finger up until she's ready. Good. Fear can be useful. John continues. Claudius, our best messenger, will have the hardest route, he says. His voice takes on the steady rhythm he uses when he must be strong for others. He sails to Peter in Antioch first, then by road to Thaddeus, John says. In Edessa. Bandits, I murmur. Yes, John agrees. He keeps going. Then to Bartholomew in Parthia. So far, I whisper. And then, John says, and his eyes sharpen. Thomas, India. He shifts his stance as if bracing. Elias will sail to Paul in Corinth, and Zebulun to Andrew in Byzantium. Or further north, I add, because I know the way Andrew's path always kept stretching like a road that never ends. John's brows lift, and he nods. Or further north. Reuben goes overland to Philip, he continues, in Hierapolis. And Aaron, John says, sails to Matthew and Simon in Alexandria. Egypt again. Mary's gaze drifts, as if remembering her years of exile. What of James? She whispers. John's face tightens. We haven't heard from him for some time. Silence falls. Winter slows. Trade. Rome makes men vanish. Claudius, Zebulun, and Reuben will listen for news. John adds, if anyone hears word of James, they will follow it. Mary closes her eyes, picturing them. Fisherman, tax collector, zealot, brothers, scattered like seed across hard soil. And yet, the seed grows. John clears his throat. We need papyrus, he says. Messages must be sent. I set the bowl down on the stool. What will you write? John looks at Mary first, like he is receiving orders. Then he looks at me. Mother calls, he says. That's all? He adds, John, and his index finger make two small curves in the air. The fish? I ask. His mouth lifts faintly. A symbol they will trust, and one, Rome's scribes, will think is a child's mark. Mary coughs again, and I press the cloth to her mouth and breathe in the smell of wool and lamp oil. When the cough passes, she whispers, from a poor girl in Bethlehem, to Egypt, back to Galilee, to a hill outside Jerusalem, and now a new hill in Asia Minor. She opens her eyes and meets John's gaze. I am weary. John's voice is gentle. You've carried more than hills. And yet, she whispers, joy has found me on everyone. Mary's breath catches. Her eyelids flutter. She sinks back, spent. The will remains, but the body has run out of oil. I wipe her mouth carefully. Her skin feels like thin paper. One wrong touch, and it will tear. When her breathing steadies again, still shallow, but steady, I step back. John gestures for me to follow him out. We close the door softly. The main room feels colder, or maybe it's me. What was that? I whisper. A secret. Why now? John's hands move to the shelf where his ink and reeds are stored. He touches them, like tools before a battle. It was truth. Because she dreamed, he says. Because she is running out of breath. And because she wants to see them all, I add, and my voice cracks. He nods once. Yes. I pace to the window and peek through a crack in the shutter. John, I say, keeping my voice tight. Mary may die before... His eyes drop. Yes. If Rome hears you are all in one place. Yes. And the temple priesthood? I press. They'll say it proves we are plotting against Artemis. They'll stir the city like a pot. John's expression hardens, and I see a glimpse of the young fisherman who once stared down storms on Galilee and decided the sea did not own him. We are not plotting, he says. We are gathering. They won't care what we call it. No, he agrees, but Mary does. I turn away and busy my hands with linens, something that obeys. My fingers find cloth, fold it, refold it, because standing still feels like drowning. A small church supports us, but a small church is made of people, and people leak information like cracked jars. John takes down a small wooden box from the shelf. He opens it. Inside are his writing tools. Reeds cut to sharp tips, a small pouch of soot-black ink, a string, and a carved seal. She wants all of them, I say. One last time. John nods once. Yes, all because of a dream, I add. Elizabeth, Zechariah, Gabriel, the beginning. Chapter 2. Artemis Cares. Damaris. The wind slides down Mount Caressos like water down a clay jar. Quiet, steady, unstoppable. My hood flaps against my cheek. Below me, the path curls toward Ephesus, like a thin rope laid on a steep deck. Behind me, Mary's little house crouches in the trees, smokeless and watchful. The morning air tastes like pine and cold iron. Behind me, the spring runs under the porch, steady as a heartbeat that refuses to hurry. John's directions echo. The corner of his mouth lifts, almost a smile. Good. Boring papyrus. Boring, I repeat, and it tastes odd. My life has not been boring since the sea swallowed my husband, but I nod because John is right. Danger notices bright things first. John's gaze softens for a breath. Then it hardens again. If anyone asks, he says, you're a widow buying supplies for an old woman dying on a hill. Nothing more. Boring. I swallow. And if they ask about you? He shrugs, one shoulder. A relative, a helper, a man with sore feet. I snort. You do have sore feet. He gives me a look that says, go. The hill falls away under my feet. Pine needles slide. Stones shift. The wind presses cold fingers under my cloak. I pull it tighter and keep walking. This should be simple. Go down to the city, buy what we need, come back up. But simplicity is a net with holes. Halfway down the hill, I hear footsteps coming up. Not one person, two. Their steps are slow and steady, the way men walk when they are used to being obeyed. I stop. My stomach tightens, like a rope cinched around a post. Two men round the bend in the path. They wear white cloaks, clean and bright against the dark pines. Not priest robes. Those have gold trim and swagger, but clerks' cloaks, still white, still temple-owned. Their hands are ink-stained at the fingertips. Their hair is oiled and combed. Their faces smooth with city food. One carries a wax tablet and stylus. The other has a small satchel that bulges with rolls of papyrus. Papyrus! My heart bangs once. John's advice rings in my head. Boring. The men look up and see me. The taller one lifts his chin like a man used to being noticed. The shorter one squints as if I'm a number he must place in a column. The taller clerk calls, "Woman!" Not sister, not friend, not neighbor, just woman. I force my face into something plain, dull. I walk toward them instead of retreating, because if I turn and run, I will lead them straight to Mary, like a dog chasing a scent. I stop a few steps away and dip my head. How can I help? The shorter clerk's eyes flick over my cloak, my sandals, my hands. He looks relieved. Poor women are easier. The taller clerk clears his throat. We are preparing the census. The census? I repeat, like I don't know what a census is, like I don't know what it can become. He taps the tablet with his stylus. Before the Artemisia. Ah, the festival, the city's great feast for the goddess Artemis. Processions, songs, bulls, white robes with gold trim, priests and priestesses smiling like they own the air. And this year, everyone is talking about the harbor reopening, ships coming in, goods pouring out. Prosperity, they say, if Artemis is pleased. Unity, unanimous participation. Or else, the taller clerk gestures up the hill. Who lives above? My mouth goes dry. I keep my face calm. An old woman. The shorter clerk's stylus scratches. Name. I choose the safest truth. Mary. His eyes lift. Mary, who? My pulse jumps. I shrug lightly, like the name means nothing. Just Mary. She's old, sick. Sick? The taller clerk asks, and his voice carries the rhythm of a man reading rules aloud. I make my voice small. On her deathbed, sir, I've been helping keep her comfortable in her last days. I hate saying it, hate it, like I hate winter. But boring widows say things like this. They do not sound hopeful. They do not sound like they believe in resurrection. The taller clerk nods once, satisfied by the shape of my sorrow. The shorter clerk asks, "Are you her kin?" "I'm a widow," I say. "I help, that's all." That's the truth, mostly. I am a widow, and I do help. That's all is the lie I must wear. The taller clerk looks past me, toward the house. Your name? Damaris. My skin prickles. From up the hill, faint but unmistakable, comes a ragged cough. Mary. The sound is thin, but it carries like a gull cry over water. The shorter clerk's eyes narrow. That is her? I nod quickly, as if embarrassed by it. Yes. She coughs. It's awful. The taller clerk's expression shifts into something that looks like piety. Artemis cares for the weak. I bite the inside of my cheek, so I won't say what I want to say. Jesus cares for the weak. Jesus heals what Artemis can't even name. Instead, I lower my eyes. That's kind of you to say. The taller clerk folds his hands like a man about to perform goodness. We'll pray for her recovery and send priestesses to check on her. They are skilled, compassionate, skilled at counting heads, skilled at sniffing out disloyalty. They want to send priestesses. My throat tightens. Oh, no, that won't be necessary. The shorter clerk's stylus pauses. Not necessary. I mean, I let my voice wobble the way frightened widows wobble. The hill is steep, and she's resting. And the taller clerk interrupts, smooth. Artemis does not mind steep hills. I manage a small, weak smile. I mind them. The shorter clerk glances at my hands. You're leaving now? Yes, I say quickly. Back to Ephesus, for supplies. The taller clerk nods, like that fits his expectations. Then, the shorter clerk reaches into his white cloak and pulls out a small amulet on a cord. It is a little carved figure, Artemis with her many breasts, polished and cold, like something that has been held by too many sweaty palms. He extends it toward me. Take this. Hang it by her bed. Artemis will see. The cord swings slightly, like a pendulum measuring my courage. They are offering me a visible sign, a test. My heart pounds. If I take it, it hangs in Mary's room like a declaration. If I refuse it, it marks me. John's advice: be boring. So I act like a woman who is overwhelmed by attention, not offended by theology. I lift both hands in a flustered gesture. That's kind, but not necessary. We wouldn't want to trouble anyone. The taller clerk's eyes sharpen. Trouble? The shorter clerk's voice goes flatter. Are you refusing Artemis's help? The amulet hangs between us, like a hook waiting for flesh. Do I protect Mary by lying, or do I speak truth and invite a storm? My tongue tastes like ash. I do what widows do to survive men with power. I babble. No, no, I say quickly. I'm only saying, she's old. She's had fevers before. She'll recover. I'm sure of it. I just need broth and a bit of soap and a fresh blanket. The wind at night is cold. You know how it is. It gets into the bones. The taller clerk tilts his head. Recover. The shorter clerk's eyebrows rise. You said deathbed. I almost laugh at the sharpness of it. Words matter to clerks the way nets matter to fishermen. Every knot is counted. Inside my head, a bright, dangerous thought flashes. That is exactly what Jesus gives. Recovery from death. But I swallow it down. The truth is not always the safest bait. I blink fast and let my eyes shine with harmless worry. I speak like a frightened woman, I say. Forgive me. Sometimes I say deathbed when I mean very ill. I don't know. The taller clerk studies me. I feel as if he is weighing my soul like grain. Then he shrugs, as if I am not worth much thought. He gestures down the hill. Come, we will walk with you. We have more homes to record. My blood turns cold. But walking with them is better than leaving them here. Better than letting them continue up the hill and knock on Mary's door. I nod quickly. Yes, thank you. I must hurry. The shorter clerk slides the amulet back into his cloak, but I see the disappointment in the tightness of his mouth. The taller clerk's voice turns falsely warm. Artemis cares, he says, even if you don't. I bow my head, like I accept the rebuke. Inside, something in me stands up tall, like a cedar that doesn't brag. We start down the hill together. Their sandals scrape on stone. The taller clerk talks as he walks, like his words need an audience. The harbor will reopen within the month, he says. We expect ships from Cyprus, from Alexandria. Trade will return. Artemis provides. The shorter clerk makes little marks on his tablet and says, Damrus, widow, helper, Mary, sick woman. I keep my breathing steady. I keep my shoulders slumped. I keep my face plain, boring. Behind us, up the hill, the house sits quiet among the pines. Then the taller clerk says, casual as a man discussing weather, "We'll send priestesses up tomorrow." My heart kicks. Tomorrow, I squeak, and I hate that it sounds real. He smiles as if he is being generous. To check on her, a kindness. I swallow hard and force a little laugh. You'll tire out your priestesses. The hill is steep. They'll complain. The shorter clerk's mouth twitches, almost amused. Priestesses don't complain. I mutter, then they haven't climbed this hill. For a moment, both men look at me. The taller clerk chuckles once. Perhaps you're right. The taller clerk takes one last look up the hill at Mary's hidden house. Then he turns away. As the city draws closer, my mind races ahead. Papyrus. I need fresh sheets. The agora. The market. I can buy it there. If the scribes ask questions. If the temple clerks are watch. If the priestesses come tomorrow. If Mary coughs blood again. If. Life is a boat full of holes, and all you can do is keep bailing. The taller clerk says, Artemisia will be glorious this year. I nod and force my face into dutiful emptiness. Inside, I whisper a prayer that isn't boring at all. Jesus, protect us. Give us cover. Give Mary breath. And then, as if the world hears and answers with a different God's laugh, the shorter clerk adds, almost to himself, strange, lonely place for a deathbed.
Chapter 3. Messengers. John. The ink smells sharp in my small house in Ephesus. It is not a pleasant smell, more like smoke trapped in cloth, but it tells me what time it is in my life, the time for writing, for sending, for watching words leave my hands and travel without me. The lamp flame wavers as if it is nervous. Outside, the city makes its usual noise, donkey hooves on stone, merchants calling in the agora, a distant hammer on bronze, and above it all, faint as a threat you can't quite name, incense from Artemis's temple drifts on the wind. On my table lie the last folded messages, fresh papyrus. The fibers are pale and stiff, like new reed mats. No scraping marks, no old spells hiding beneath the surface. Ephesus is full of men who sell curses written on papyrus. I will not send Mary's call on such papyrus. The others are already on their way. Aaron slipped out before dawn, cloak pulled tight, sea salt in his beard from the harbor air. Zebulun went next, too cheerful for a man with bandits in his future. Reuben took the inland road, quiet, eyes like a mule driver's, stubborn and forward. Now only Claudius remains. Trusty Claudius stands in my doorway with winter sunlight behind him, turning his breath into fog. He is young and wiry, built for running, long legs, shoulders made for speed. He keeps his hair short, as if it will make him faster. A thin scar cuts through his right eyebrow, so he always looks half amused even when he is serious. He holds his hands out as if he expects a present. Instead, I place danger. I pass him a folded sheet of papyrus, tied with simple cord. No wax, no fancy seal, just a fish mark in ink, small, plain. Claudius weighs it in his palm. That's it? That's it, I say. He squints. No speeches? Mary said no speeches. Claudius nods, like that settles the matter. Good, speeches are tiring. You haven't read it, I say. I don't need to, he replies, grin returning. It says, John is worried. Mother calls. Hurry. I stare at him. He points at my clenched fist, thumb tapping. See? Worried. I am not. He lifts one hand. You are. It's fine. If you stop worrying, I'll worry. I would rather face bandits than your worrying, I mutter. Ha! He laughs. Bandits don't talk much. He always has at least one humorous line. Claudius stores them like a merchant with a pile of figs. I step back from the doorway and keep my voice low. Listen. He straightens. Humor falls away the way a cloak falls when the wind dies. Underneath, Claudius is still young, but he is not foolish. His eyes are quick, and he hears danger the way a sailor hears shifting wind. You don't speak names, I tell him, not in taverns, not at docks, not on the road. He nods. I don't have a name. Good, I say. Your route, I say. You go by ship to Antioch. Peter, he says, and his voice tightens just a little. Peter is large in all our lives, loud, brave, broken, rebuilt. Yes, I say. From there, by road to Thaddeus in Edessa. Claudius's grin shrinks. Edessa is not friendly to travelers. No, I agree. And then Bartholomew in Parthia. He whistles softly. Parthia, that's a dangerous road. Then Thomas, I say. He meets my eyes. India. I nod once. India. Glad I had my sandals mended. Very strong. Claudius turns serious. If I don't make it, you will make it, I say, because sometimes you speak the thing you need to be true. He studies me. That's not an answer. It's an instruction, I reply. He exhales a short laugh. Yes, elder. He calls me elder now, not because I want the title, but because age is the only armor I am allowed to wear in this city. I glance at the table. The other messages are gone, already carried out into the world. Claudius watches my face. You're thinking of James. I don't deny it. Listen for news on your road. He nods, no humor now. If I hear anything, I chase it. Chase it carefully, I say. He lifts his hand as if swearing an oath, like a cat hunting a mouse. That's less noble than I hoped, I mutter. Noble gets you killed, he answers. He turns to go, then pauses at the threshold. The wind catches his cloak, snapping it like a sail. He looks back at me. Tell me something, John. What? His voice drops with concern. How was she? Yesterday. Mary. Even here in my house, her presence fills the space. It follows me, like the smell of bread follows a baker. The memory comes fast and sharp. Yesterday, the priestesses arrived at Mary's house on the hill. White robes with gold trim, hair braided and oiled, fingers heavy with rings. Their sandals were clean, too clean for that steep path. They carried small jars of fragrant oil and smiled like women selling comfort in the market. We bring health, their leader said. But she didn't mean health as a gift. She meant health as a trade. An offering to Artemis will open the goddess's favor, she said, and her eyes slid over Mary's blankets as if counting what we owned. Always the same bait. Artemis demands something in return. Always. Money, honor, attendance, fear. She is a goddess who keeps a ledger. Mary lay pale and small, breath thin. Damaris stood stiff beside the bed, hands clenched in her apron. And I stood between the priestesses and Mary's truth like a doorpost. The priestess smiled at Mary. Say the goddess's name, and we will anoint you. Mary's eyes opened, steady, tired, unbought. No, she whispered. The priestess's smile tightened. You refuse help? Mary's voice was thin but sure, immovable. I refuse the price. That is Mary. Even dying, she refuses to be purchased. And I remembered Jesus, never demanded payment for healing. Not coins, not praise, not offerings. Sometimes he didn't even get a thank you. He gave because giving was who he was. Knock, and it will be opened. Not bargain, and it might be opened. I blink the memory away and look at Claudius. She is fierce, I say, and weary. He nods like that is enough. Fierce and weary, that's Mary. It is, I agree. Claudius slips the message into his inner tunic against his ribs. Then I go. He steps out into the street, and then he is gone, moving fast, slipping between people like a fox through reeds. I close the door and stand with my forehead against the wood for one heartbeat, and I think of Jesus, touching lepers, feeding crowds, healing without invoice, without bargain, without a ledger. He never demanded payment, he asked for trust, which is harder.
Chapter 4. Patience. Peter. The Orontes River moves like a living rope through Antioch. It is brown today, swollen from winter rains, carrying broken reeds and bits of driftwood like a tired man carrying too much. Barges slide along it anyway, flat boats with sacks of grain and jars of oil. The river feeds the city. It waters the fields beyond the walls. It turns dry ground into gardens and trade into coin. Without the Orontes, Antioch would be a thirsty mouth. I stand on its bank with a net in my hands and mud on my sandals, pretending I am only a fisherman again. The net comes up heavy, not with fish, with weeds. Joshua hauls his side onto the bank and kicks it like it has betrayed him. River water drips from the cords, cold and brown, smelling of mud and old reeds. The reeds slap each other in the wind, like hands clapping for a joke that isn't funny. Stupid river, he mutters. It's a river, I say. It does what rivers do. Joshua's glare could bend iron. He's 20 now, lean shoulders, thick, dark hair, hands calloused from work, but his patience is still a boy's. Short, hot, loud. It should give, he says. If God wants to bless us, why does he make everything feel like wrestling? I squat by the net and start pulling weeds from the knots. My knees complain, my fingers don't. They remember rope and salt and splinters. They remember a lifetime of mending what younger men tear. Because blessing isn't a lever you pull, I say. Joshua snorts. You make God sound stubborn. I grin. Sometimes he is. So are we. A voice calls from the courtyard above the bank. Peter, if you keep teaching our son by the river, he'll start smelling like it. Eden stands in the doorway, with hands on hips. Sharp-eyed, quick mouth, dark hair with streaks of gray tied back, like she refuses to be grabbed by trouble. Her cheek has a faint round scar from grease leaping out of a cooking fire years ago. Small, but it makes her look like a woman who doesn't step back. I already smell like it, I call. It's my fragrance. Your fragrance is mostly stubbornness, Eden says. Joshua mutters, that's not a compliment. It is, Eden replies, stepping closer. In this house, stubborn means you don't fold when the wind turns. I point at her. See? She understands. Joshua groans and yanks the net again. He swallows, and the real thing pushes through. Father, Alexander, Karis's father sent word again. My hand's still in the net. Karis, bright, intelligent eyes, a small dimple when she smiles, slender and poised, quiet strength, faith that doesn't need to shout. But Alexander is a merchant with clean hands and loud festivals. He doesn't simply sell goods, he sells belonging. Joshua's words tumble fast now. He says if I want to marry her, I need to be present at the festival. Eden's jaw tightens. Present, she repeats, tasting the lie. As in, counted. Joshua flares, not bowing, just attending, being seen. Being seen becomes being owned. A hook doesn't look like a hook until it's in your mouth. What festival? I ask, though I know. Joshua hesitates. For Taish. Eden lets out a sharp breath. Of course. Taish, the city's lady of luck, the one Antioch praises when trade is good and blames when the river floods. They have a bronze statue of her that watches over the city like a queen. She wears a crown shaped like Antioch's walls, and she holds a sheaf of grain like she owns the harvest. Some days sunlight hits her face and she looks alive. Some nights she looks like she's laughing. People love Taish because she feels like control. If you honor her, maybe she will tilt luck your way. If you offer enough, maybe the dice will roll kind. Joshua's shoulders hunch. Karis says it's just a family duty. Her parents arranged everything. They want me there. They want to see I'm respectful. Arranged marriages. That's how it works. Fathers trade daughters like vineyards, careful, proud, and with contracts. Eden's voice goes low, respectful to Taiki. Joshua's eyes flash, respectful to her parents. Eden steps closer, fierce. Parents who kneel to a bronze woman and pray for blessing. Joshua opens his mouth, then shuts it. He looks at me, begging without saying it. And here it is, the thing I don't want to say out loud. My hidden desire. I want Joshua to inherit my ministry. I want him to carry the work when my hands finally stop. I want people to look at him and then look at me and say, Peter did not fail. Peter built something that lasted. I want to be the rock, the patriarch, the man Jesus named, not the coward intimidated by a servant girl. Shame burns hotter than winter. Eden watches me too. She knows me too well. She knows what I want, and she also knows what it costs when I want something too much. Joshua says quieter now, Abba, I can still follow Jesus and go to one festival. I won't bow. I'll just stand there. Eden's eyes blaze. Standing is easy, Joshua. Following Jesus is hard. Joshua swings back to me. So what do? I pull one last clump of weeds from the net. It comes free with a wet sound. First, I say, your marriage is not yours alone. That means your choice lands on more than your heart. Joshua's jaw tightens. So I have no choice. You do, I say, but you don't get a choice without cost. Eden folds her arms. We've spoken of other wives. Joshua groans. Not again. Eden continues anyway because Eden is like a steady hammer. Hannah, the baker's niece, she follows Jesus. Her family doesn't worship Tishe. Joshua rolls his eyes. Hannah thinks flour is a spiritual gift. Eden says, dead serious. Bread keeps people alive. Joshua mutters, I want a wife, not a loaf. I snort before I can stop myself. Careful, boy. Some wives will beat you like dough if you talk like that. Eden points at me. Peter. What? I say. Did that land too close? Joshua's mouth twitches, but the smile won't stay. Eden tries again. Leah from the Weavers. Strong hands. Good family. No festivals. Joshua shakes his head. Leah talks like she's giving orders to a donkey. Eden nods thoughtfully. Donkeys live long. Maybe she's onto something. Joshua looks at me, desperate. Karis is different. She is, I say, because it's true. Karis listens. Karis prays like a person who expects God to answer. Karis carries quiet courage. Eden's voice softens just a little. Karis is good. The problem is her parents. Joshua's eyes shine with anger and fear. So you want me to wait, again? Eden says, yes. I say, yes. Joshua's shoulders tense. Patience. Patience. Joshua's voice rises. Patience, he repeats sharper. Coming from you? The words hit like a stone to the teeth. Silence drops over the riverbank. Even the reeds seem to stop clapping. I stare at Joshua. He stares back, breathing hard, eyes blazing. He isn't only talking about Karis. He's talking about every time I've demanded something from him while pretending I'm a man who always got it right. A montage of shame washes over me like cold sea spray. This shall never happen to you, I told Jesus, like I could command God. How many times shall I forgive? I asked, like forgiveness was a number I could count. Running away instead of kneeling at the cross. And later, when Jesus asked me a third time, "Do you love me?" I broke. Lord, you know all things. You know I love you. My throat tightens. My hands tremble and I curl them into fists so no one sees. Eden's face goes still. She doesn't rescue me this time. She waits, waiting for me to remember his forgiveness and placing his trust in me. Feed my sheep. Follow me. Joshua's anger wavers. For a heartbeat, he looks like a boy again, afraid he's gone too far, afraid he's gone not far enough. I can't speak, and then, like a rope thrown to a drowning man, the courtyard gate bangs open. Footsteps slap stone behind us. Fast, light. A man enters the courtyard, breath steaming in the cold air. Small, quick, moving like he has been running so long he forgot how to stop. Claudius. Dust clings to his worn sandals. His cloak is pulled tight. A thin scar cuts his eyebrow, making him look half amused even now, though his eyes are not amused at all. He scans the courtyard like a fox checking for dogs. Then his gaze locks on me. He walks toward us and holds out a folded papyrus tied with cord. Just a simple ink mark. A fish. John's mark. My chest tightens. Claudius speaks softly, but the words land like stones. Peter. Mother calls. Joshua steps forward, eyes wide. Mary. The Mary. Claudius nods once. Yes. Eden's face goes pale, then hard. Caressos. I take the papyrus. The fibers feel stiff, clean, fresh. I don't open it. I don't need to. The message is already in my bones. Mother calls. John. 2 curves in the outline of a fish. I swallow, handing the message back. When? Claudius's voice is tight. Now, as quick as you can. Eden's eyes flick toward the street beyond the courtyard. Were you followed? Claudius hesitates, one breath too long. My stomach drops. He forces a grin that doesn't reach his eyes. Only by my own shadow. Eden's voice goes flat. That means yes. Claudius lifts both hands. I lost him, I think, mostly. Joshua whispers, There's a mostly? Claudius looks at him. Welcome to my world, friend. I use it like a man grabbing a ladder. I don't like that about myself. But I do it anyway. I turn to Joshua, voice firm. This discussion waits. Joshua's jaw tightens. Convenient. Eden shoots him a look sharp enough to peel bark. Joshua. He shuts his mouth, but his eyes stay angry. I look at Eden. We'll go today. I glance at Claudius. Eat something. Claudius's shoulders sag with relief. Finally, a holy command. As we move toward the house, the river smell follows me. Mud, reeds, wet rope. Antioch's noises swell. Vendors, donkeys, the distant cheers of men gambling in a courtyard, and somewhere beyond, the bronze lady of luck shining in the sun, while people beg her for kindness she never promised. Eden calls after me, "Peter!" I turn. Her eyes hold mine, steady. You can't hide behind Mary forever.
Chapter 5. Fog. Philip, how do you fight fog? You can swing a sword at it and hit nothing. Shout and it swallows your noise. Fog smothers the shape of whatever it touches and pretends it was always there. Hierapolis is full of fog. On this brisk morning I stand above the white terraces of warm mineral springs, and steam rises from them like breath from the earth's mouth. The terraces are bright, chalky white, layered like stacked bread, yet the air's gray with drifting fog. There's a faint smell, like eggs left too long in the sun. Behind me the city stirs. Sandals scrape, vendors call. Water runs everywhere. Hot water, cold water, water that heals and water that burns. People come here to be healed, and they stay and whisper. I tighten my cloak. It clings damp to my shoulders. My beard is wet at the ends, as if the fog is testing my willingness to fight. They talk about my daughters, not quietly, not kindly. They deny the girl's spiritual gifts. They say it's pride, not prophecy. They say discernment is a way to shame better women. They say my daughters behave indecently, holy kisses that last too long, prayers spoken too boldly, eating and worshiping too closely beside men. They don't say these things to my face. They say them behind steam and smiles, like fog. It fits that this city honors Pluto, the god of Hades, the shrine built over the vents where the earth breathes, the Plutonian, a gate to the underworld, they claim. Animals brought too close collapse. Priests boast that their god's breath kills. The city builds a temple over poison gas and calls it sacred. And then the wives call my daughter's gifts poisonous. I stare down at the steam curling from the terraces. How do you fight fog? I murmur. A voice behind me says, Father? Miriam. I turn. My eldest is tall and lean, 20 now, with her mother's dark eyes, with a look that dares you to challenge her. She moves like a guard at a gate, quiet, ready, watching exits. Her thick dark hair is braided tight, and she wears no jewelry except a plain cord at her wrist. Beside her is Sarah, 18, built like a bowstring. Strong legs, quick hands, chin lifted as if she's already arguing with the world. Her braids are looser, and a few curls escape. Courage lives in her slim, graceful frame. So does trouble. Esther trails behind them, 13, swimming in a cloak too large for her, one hand hooked into Miriam's sleeve like an anchor. Freckles across her cheeks, her eyes move fast, catching details adults miss, rings, glances, the way a man shifts when he lies. You missed breakfast, Miriam says. She makes it sound like a report. Sarah adds, Again. Esther peeks at me. Are you eating steam now? I'm considering it, I chuckle. Miriam's mouth twitches. That's as close as she gets to laughter before noon. Miriam steps closer, eyes narrowing. Someone is watching. I follow her gaze. A group of women stand near a stall of dyed cloth. They pretend to examine a purple stripe. Their eyes keep sliding toward us, then away. One of them whispers something, and the others lean in like bees around honey. Sarah's shoulders square. Say it louder, she calls. We might want to hear our own sins. Esther gasps. Sarah! Miriam touches Sarah's arm, not hard, just enough to remind her that fire spreads. Come, I say. Home. We walk back down through the streets that run between steam and stone. The fog is thinner here. My ribs burn with anger. Anger is what they want. They want Philip the Elder to flare and shout so they can point and say, Look, undisciplined. reckless. So I breathe. I keep walking. At our lane, the smell changes. Less sulfur, more bread and smoke and damp wool. Our house is small, plain, a place that should feel safe. A man steps out from the shadow of a doorway as we approach. He wears a clerk's belt and a neat tunic. His nails are clean, but his eyes are not. His eyes dart and blink like a trapped rabbit. He smells faintly of perfumed oil, the kind women like to dab behind ears. He clears his throat. "Philip?" I stop. Miriam shifts slightly forward, a protective angle. Sarah's fingers flex as if she wants to grab something heavy. Esther leans closer to Miriam, quiet as a mouse. "Yes?" I say. The clerk glances at my daughters, then quickly back at me. "A word. Please." Sarah says, "Too sweet. Only one?" The clerk ignores her. His voice drops. "You must control them." Sarah laughs. "Control us like goats?" Miriam says, flat. "We're not goats," Esther whispers. "Goats would be easier." I raise a hand to quiet them, though a small smile tries to escape me. "Why?" I ask the clerk. His mouth works. He looks like a man forced to swallow bitter medicine. "Because the wives are upset." Of course. Wives with soft hands and sharp tongues, women who feel threatened by gifts they can't buy. He doesn't say names, but I can see his fear. He's been bullied into this, sent like a messenger with a stone in his shoe. I keep my voice calm. "Upset about what?" The clerk swallows. Like. He forces the words out. Holy kisses that are too long, eating with men, speaking as if they have authority. Miriam's voice is low and steady. "We speak what God gives." The clerk's shoulders hunch. They don't see it that way. They say it's indecent. Sarah takes one step forward. "Do they also say the springs smell like goat? Because that would be true." The clerk blinks. "What?" Sarah spreads her hands. "Perhaps we should talk about something that's actually true." Esther makes a strangled sound that might be a laugh. Miriam's mouth twitches once, barely. The clerk's face tightens. "This isn't a joke." "It's not," Sarah says. "Then why are you repeating women's whispers like they're scripture?" "Sarah," I warn. She steps back half a pace, but her eyes stay bright with heat. The clerk lifts his chin, trying to borrow authority from the air. "Hierapolis values order." "Hierapolis worships a cave that kills goats," Sarah mutters. "Order seems fatal." Esther whispers, "Sarah." I look at him and see what he is. A man caught between his wife's fear and my daughter's gifts. He wants peace the way a coward wants a wall. I speak gently, because gentle words sometimes cut deeper than sharp ones. "Tell the wives this. My daughters do not belong to their gossip." He swallows. "They will not like that." Sarah smiles. "Tell them to write it on fog. It will last about as long as their kindness." The clerk turns to leave, relief in his steps like he has dropped a burden on my porch. Worry tugs at me like a net snagged on rock. A household can survive bandits. Bandits are honest. They take what they want with knives. Gossip takes with whispers. We step toward our door. A shadow moves at the end of the lane. A man runs toward us, hard, fast, as if the ground is chasing him. He is dust-covered. His cloak flaps like a torn sail. His breath smokes in the cold. Reuben. I recognize him from Ephesus, one of John's runners. He's broad in the shoulders, thick in the neck, with a nose that's been broken and healed crooked. His eyes are alert and tired, like a man who has slept beside roads too often. He slows when he sees us, hands lifted to show he carries no blade. "Philip," he pants. I step forward. "Yes." He reaches inside his tunic and pulls out folded papyrus tied with cord. No wax, no flourish. Reuben holds the message out. His voice is rough, like gravel. "From John." I take it. The papyrus is stiff and clean. It smells like reed and travel. I don't open it yet. I don't need to. I know the rhythm of John's words. Simple, direct, like an oar stroke. Obligated, I break the cord and unfold it. 2 lines. Mother calls John. A small fish, that's all, and it is everything. Sarah grabs my arm. We go. Miriam's voice stays calm, but her eyes shine. We go now. Reuben shifts his weight, impatient. I'll go with you and watch for bandits. Winter makes them hungry and dangerous. Do I stay and fight fog, endless whispers, slow pressure, doors closing like a net tightening? Or do I step onto a road where bandits are real and knives are honest? I look at my daughters. Miriam, steady, carrying the household's weight without complaining. Sarah, fire, daring the world to burn her first. Esther, small, sharp-eyed, learning fear without letting it become her master. They have gifts. They also have targets painted on them by women who fear what they can't control. I think of Mary, old, sick, still commanding like a queen without a crown. Mary calls, not for comfort, but for truth. I fold the papyrus and tuck it inside my cloak, against my chest. I'd rather face bandits than fog, I say. Sarah grins like she's been handed a sword. Yes, Esther whispers. Bandits? Miriam puts a hand on Esther's shoulder. We'll be careful, and we'll have Reuben. Reuben scratches his beard. Careful is good, fast is better. Sarah points at him. I like you. Reuben deadpans. That makes one of us. Even Miriam lets out a short laugh.
Chapter 6. Corinth. Paul. Leather tells the truth. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't pretend. If the hide is thin, it tears. If the stitch is lazy, the seam splits the first time wind presses hard. A tent with bad leather collapses in the rain. That is why I keep my hands busy. Corinth lies. Leather does not. I sit on a low stool at the edge of the workshop with goat hide across my knees. The air smells of tannin, smoke, and sweat. Thread bites my fingers. The awl leaves a red dent in my thumb. I press anyway. Pain keeps a man awake. Wearing a belt holding tools, Aquila bends over a frame, shoulders like beams, forearms thick as tree trunks. He concentrates with eyes like a tradesman counting cost. His mouth twists as if he's arguing with the world and winning by stubbornness. Priscilla stands behind him, dark hair pinned back, sleeves tied up, straight-backed, eyes sharp. She threads needles like she's loading a sling, quick, precise. She misses nothing, not a loose stitch, not a lie. Silas sits near the door with a tablet on his knee, counting, humming psalms under his breath. His hair is dark with gray at the temples, and his beard is trimmed neat. He has lines at his eyes, the kind that comes from smiling through storms. He's solid, like a man who's carried a heavy pack. Young Timothy stands in the doorway, half in light, half in street shadow. He keeps shifting his weight as if his own feet don't trust the ground. He clears his throat. They're back again. Aquila doesn't look up. Who's back? Timothy swallows. The priestesses. Priscilla stills for a heartbeat. Not fear. Attention. Walking like they own the stones, Timothy says. Aquila snorts. In Corinth, everyone walks like they own the stones. Not like this, Timothy insists, cheeks flushing. They're drawing men, the way cheese draws a mouse. I stand and wipe my hands on a cloth before pushing my thinning hair back. Come. Timothy blinks. Now? Yes. My voice leaves no room for argument. Your eyes are running ahead of your courage. We'll bring them back together. Aquila glances up. Paul, I'm not going to start a riot, I say. Priscilla's mouth curves. Shame. It would be entertaining. Also expensive, Aquila mutters. Timothy looks alarmed. Paul isn't entertaining. Aquila gives him a sideways look. Silas doesn't look up from his tablet, a smile forming. He's entertaining when he's aiming at someone else. Outside, Corinth hits the senses like a wave. Sea and sky, heavy and damp. Smoke. Fish rot in baskets. Perfume tries to cover it and fails. Merchants call like gulls. Coins clink. From Aphrodite's hill, the drums thud a rhythmic heartbeat in the city's chest. We enter the agora where marble stones are slick from mist. And there, cutting through the crowd like a blade, walk the priestesses. Oiled hair, jewelry, smiles practiced like merchants with their sails pitch. Men lean toward them as if pulled by ropes. Women look away. Some glare. Some pretend they don't see. Timothy stops so fast I nearly collide with him. His jaw tightens. His hands curl at his sides. Shame and frustration wrestle in his face like two dogs fighting for one bone. A priestess laughs at something a man says and touches his arm as if she's blessing him. He grins like a boy handed honey. Timothy mutters, "They call that love." "Yes," I say. He looks at me, eyes bright with conflict. "It's wrong." "It is," I agree. "But you need to know what makes it dangerous." He frowns. We stop near a stall where a man sells hourglasses, glass bulbs in wooden frames, sand sliding down in quiet streams. The seller watches us with bored eyes, as if men arguing about gods is just weather. I nod toward the priestesses. "Tell me what you see." Timothy's voice drops. I see men paying. "How?" I ask. "Coins, gifts, promises." He swallows. "They'll spend a week's wage for a moment." "And what do they receive?" I ask. "A touch," he says, hard. "A night. A lie." "A service," I correct gently. "A transaction." The word lands. It stings him. It shrinks the glamour into something ugly and small. "In Corinth," I say, "love is sold like fish, fresh in the evening, spoiled by morning, and always priced to take more than you have." Timothy watches a wealthy man offer a bracelet. The priestess's smile widens. She leans closer. "She doesn't even know him," Timothy whispers. "No," I say. "She knows his coin." He blanches. "People say Aphrodite blesses them." "Aphrodite blesses her own altar," I answer, "and her altar always wants more." Timothy snaps. Too fast, too hungry. "Then what is love?" The question isn't argument. It's fear wearing a question's clothes. "Because kindness steadies better than shouting," I ask. "What does Aphrodite sacrifice for any of this?" Timothy looks back at the priestesses. A hand takes a coin without hesitation. A smile widens when the payment is large. His throat works. "Nothing." "Say it clearly," I press. He swallows. "She sacrifices nothing." I nod once. "Aphrodite offers no sacrifice. She only offers what you pay for." Corinth doesn't stop for a young man's purity. "That's why it's a trap," I continue. "It feels like belonging. It is being bought." Timothy whispers, "Then why do men keep buying it?" "Because they are afraid. Because loneliness is a hunger. Because I once bought belonging too. Status, approval, righteousness like a cloak, and called it love." I let one honest piece slip out. "Because it's easy," I say, "and because they fear being unloved more than they fear being used." A priestess glides closer. Her eyes land on Timothy and linger. She smiles like she's already found his weakness. Timothy stiffens. Her voice is sweet. Young one, you look serious. Aphrodite can soften you. His mouth opens, closes. With red cheeks, he anxiously looks at me, like a man caught in a net. I answer for him, calm. He's soft enough. She laughs. Then come learn pleasure. We're counting, I say. She squints. Counting what? Cost, I tell her. Her smile sharpens. Everything has a cost. Yes, I agree. That's the problem. She turns her gaze back to Timothy. You could be happy. Timothy's voice shakes, but it holds. Not like that. She shrugs, unconcerned. Then stay lonely. And she moves on as if his soul is a coin she decided not to pick up. Timothy exhales hard. His hands tremble once, then still. That felt like, he starts. A hook, I say. And you felt it because you're human. He drops his eyes, shame flooding him. Hate the hook, I tell him, not yourself. He swallows. What does Jesus offer? Now we are at the center. Jesus offers true love, I say, not what you purchase, what you receive. Timothy's brow creases. How do I know it's real? He proved it, I answer. Simple. He didn't demand payment. He paid with his life. Timothy's eyes widen. Aphrodite offers no sacrifice, I add. Only what you pay for. Timothy whispers, so love is sacrifice. Real love costs, I say. The cost shows who is true. Timothy asks, quiet, and what does Jesus ask from me? Not coin, I say, not a performance. He offers relationship and asks you to follow him. We start back toward the workshop. My legs move with their usual uneven rhythm, fast step, shorter step. Not quite a limp, but close enough that people notice. I learned long ago to ignore their noticing. A man pushes through the crowd toward us, breath steaming, cloak dusty with road grit. He holds something in his hand, papyrus tied with cord, pressed flat against his chest as if it might fly away. Elias. He is older than Timothy, broader, with hands that look like they've fought ropes and won. His beard is tangled. His eyes are bright with urgency. He stops in front of me and bows his head once. Respect, not ceremony. Paul, he says. His voice is rough. He coughs once. From John. He holds out the message. A simple sheet. Fresh papyrus. 2 lines. Mother calls. John. A small fish. The words are small. The weight is not. As we walk, a shadow grows in my thoughts. Mother calls. Those words should fill me with joy. They also scrape at me like sand in a wound. Because I remember what I was, how I was to bind and drag and approve of death. When a call comes, I always ask the same question, though I hate myself for it. Is this obligation or love? I don't say it out loud, but Silas walks beside me like a man who hears thoughts. He glances at my face. You're hesitating. I grunt. I'm walking. You can walk and hesitate, he says. You do it with every hard thing. I keep my eyes forward. Silas places his hand on my shoulder. His voice stays quiet, gentle, but sharp. You're wondering if you're worthy. My chest tightens. Timothy is ahead of us, pretending he can't hear. Aquila and Priscilla are out front now, watching for us. The city noise rolls around us like surf. Silas continues, soft enough that only I hear. You're asking if Mary's call is a duty you must pay, or love you're allowed to receive. I stop walking for half a breath. He stops too. He doesn't look at me like a judge. He looks at me like a brother. You just preached to Timothy about love, Silas says. I spoke truth, I mutter. Then don't steal it from yourself, he replies. I swallow. My throat feels raw, though I haven't been shouting. Silas nods toward the street behind us, the way we came. John is the apostle of love, he says. If he sends a message, don't doubt your place at the table. Lean into love and let's go. I want to argue. I want to say, you don't know what I've done. But Silas does know. He has known for years. And he still walks beside me. Silas leans toward me again, low. Decision? I look at the workshop, our tools, our leather, our simple life built in a city that sells everything. I look toward the road out, where ships rock at their moorings like restless horses. I think of Mary, frail, still commanding. I think of John, steady, sending a call without decoration. I think of Jesus, who healed without payment, who gave without bargaining, who opened doors when we knocked. I exhale. We go. Silas's eyes soften. Good. A smile forms at the corner of my eyes. Tell me, if John is the apostle of love, what am I? Silas doesn't hesitate. You're the apostle of lectures. Priscilla's mouth is somewhere between a grin and a grimace. You're the apostle of riots. This might be the first time you left a city without being thrown out. She starts counting fingers. Philippi, Thessalonica, Berea, all in the last 2 years. Aquila's deep belly laugh echoes through the marketplace. Silas is doubled over, laughing so hard he can't breathe. Timothy snorts in laughter, then glances around as if looking for permission. Knowing she's right, I join in. Paul, the apostle of riots.
Chapter 7, Magnesia Gate, John. Groggy, I stand outside Mary's house, hoping the late morning sun wakes me as I watch the ridge path. Damaris appears in the doorway, wiping her hands on her apron as if she can scrub worry away. Her hair is braided and wrapped high for work. Her face is set the way it gets when she's about to fight an invisible enemy. Is she awake? I ask. Not really, Damaris answers. She's floating. I nod. Pneumonia steals breath and trades it for fever dreams. Damaris studies my face the way a healer studies a wound. Did you sleep? Some. She snorts. Your eyes say none. My eyes exaggerate. They don't, she replies. They're your most honest part. A dozen swallows quickly shoot overhead. Alert, I spy a shape appearing around the bend, first a moving shadow. The shadow splits, and I see 2 men climbing steady and stubborn, women behind. Thinking it's temple priests and priestesses, I turn to warn Damaris. As I turn, I see the wide body, the short hair and neat beard, the lines next to his mouth that speak of carried grief. Philip. Relief hits me so hard it almost hurts. My feet move faster than my dignity. Philip, I call. He stops, breath steaming, and smiles with tired eyes. John. Next to him, Reuben is dusty, alert, scanning trees like he expects the branches to grow teeth. And behind Reuben come 3 girls, one grown, one nearly, and one still small. Miriam is tall and lean, with dark hair braided tight. Her dark eyes and direct gaze miss nothing. She wears a plain tunic, as if to say a pretty woman doesn't need to jewelry. She stands like a guard set at a door. Sarah, her chin lifted and her courage too bright to hide, moves like a blade that hasn't learned when to stay sheathed. Her tunic is simple, but with a few small touches, but not enough to be called vanity. A stitch of purple and small silver pin. Those little details hint that the soft curls are on purpose. Esther trails, half hidden behind Miriam's elbow, her small frame swallowed by a tunic, with a stitch of blue that must have been Sarah's. Her gaze takes in everything, the house, the spring, the slope, the pines, as if she's making a map in her head. And when she stares, you feel she is looking deep inside you. Damaris steps out onto the porch, and her face softens when she sees them. Softens, but doesn't relax. Damaris doesn't relax anymore. I study Philip's cloak, dust at the hem, a tear at the edge, the look of a man who walked hard and didn't stop. "You came quickly," I say again, quieter now. Philip's eyes meet mine. He has the tired calm of a shepherd who has fought wolves with a stick. We wondered if we could outrace gossip. I thought we were quick enough, until we noticed the heavy temple presence at the gates. Reuben adds, dry as old bread. Something has them worked up. Several were watching both the Magnesium and Caressus gates. I gesture toward the porch. Water first, then explanations. We lead them to the spring. The water is clear enough to shame glass. Philip kneels, drinks, then offers his hand to Esther so she won't slip on the slick stone. Philip stands and wipes his beard. What's happened? The relief that warmed me a moment ago cools at once. Mary refused Artemis's help, and the temple is watching and plotting, I explain. Philip looks past me toward the house. Humor drains from his face. And Mary? Still breathing, Damaris says. Still stubborn. Philip exhales. Relief and grief tangle in that breath. Can I see her? Damaris hesitates. Her instinct is to protect Mary from everything, even love. She's fragile. Philip's voice softens with vulnerability. So are we. Damaris studies him, then nods. Quietly, and if she coughs... We'll leave, Philip promises. Inside, the air is warmer, but smoky from the brazier. Herbs steep in a pot. Blankets pile on Mary like snow someone keeps adding. Mary lies near the hearth, hair thin and white, skin too delicate for the world. She has a blanket around her shoulders and wrappings around her feet. Her breathing is shallow, measured, as if each breath must be bargained for. Philip stops at the edge of the room. His big hands hang useless at his sides. "Mary," he whispers. Her eyelids flutter. For a moment, her eyes open, dark, sharp even now. A small smile touches her mouth. Mary's gaze drifts to the doorway where Miriam, Sarah, Esther hover. "You brought your house," Mary whispers. Philip nods. "Yes." "Good," Mary says. She coughs, dry, rattling. Damaris moves fast, lifting her, offering water, patting her back with practiced hands. Philip steps back at once, as promised. Miriam and Sarah stay by the doorway, reserved and respectful, like women standing near a holy place. Esther doesn't. She pads forward, small as a kitten, and climbs carefully onto the edge of the bedding. Then she lays her head on Mary's chest, as if it is the most natural thing in the world. Damaris freezes. Philip's eyes widen, alarmed. "Esther!" Mary lifts a trembling hand, not to push the girl away, to touch her hair. Mary's fingers move slow, like a blessing drawn out one strand at a time. Her mouth lifts and joy brightens her face in a way sickness can't steal. Esther whispers, "Your heart sounds like..." Mary breathes out something that might be a laugh. Then, it still runs. Damaris turns her face away quickly. I see her shoulders shake once. She wipes at her eyes as if tears are an inconvenience. Hope is a thin thing sometimes, but it can carry weight. We eat at the small table in low voices. Reuben tells where he saw priests, standing in dark alleys near both gates, watching like crows. Miriam listens without blinking. Esther keeps a hand on Mary's blanket, as if she's afraid the old woman might drift away if she lets go. When the sun falls behind the mountain, Reuben stands. They watch me leave the city. I need to be seen returning home. He steps out and heads down the path toward Ephesus, moving quiet, taking the bends like a man who respects hidden eyes. Minutes pass, then Reuben appears again. Fast. Not running like a man late, running like a man chased. He reaches the porch and says, low, urgent, "Temple priestesses, coming up." The air turns colder. Damaris goes still. Philip rises at once. Miriam's posture snaps tight. Sarah's hand goes to the small knife she uses for cutting bread. Esther's eyes go wide. "We don't need to attract more attention," Reuben says. "Philip, girls, woods, now." Philip hesitates, eyes flicking to Mary's door. "We've dealt with them before," I say. Philip nods once, jaw hard. Miriam moves first, silent. Sarah follows, biting back words. Esther starts toward Mary's room, then stops when Damaris catches her sleeve. "Later," Damaris whispers. "You can hug her later." Esther's mouth trembles. She nods. Reuben leads them off the porch and into the pines, disappearing into the trees like smoke. Damaris wipes her hands again. "Be boring," she whispers, like a prayer. "I intend to be," I answer. Footsteps crunch on gravel. Voices, women's voices, soft, trained, confident. Two priestesses appear at the edge of the clearing, white robes, gold trim, catching the thin light. Their faces are pleasant. The priestess in front inclines her head. "John?" Her voice is smooth. She doesn't ask if I am John. She says it like she already owns the answer. "Peace," I reply. She smiles. Peace is the goddess's gift. Damaris steps forward, hands folded, shoulders slightly hunched, the posture of a woman trying to be small. "She's sleeping," she says quickly. The priestess's gaze slides toward the house, as if she can see through stone. Is she finally willing to accept Artemis's healing? "No," I say. The second priestess tilts her head. "Again, you refuse the goddess's help?" "We do not seek it," I answer. The priestess says sweetly, "Your refusal will be noted in the temple archives." Damaris's fingers tighten together. Her knuckles go pale. The second priestess adds, still pleasant, "Refusal invites consequences." Consequences, a word loaded with weight.
Chapter 8. The Agora. Peter. We are spit out of the ship like Jonah out of the whale. Eden holds my hand, steady as always. Her cloak is pulled tight, hair pinned back, eyes sharp. Worry shows as a slight furrow between her eyebrows. Joshua follows, tall and broad-shouldered, 20 years old and still carrying his argument like it's a hot coal. A small scar on his chin says he hasn't learned to be a peacemaker. He squints at the crush of bodies as if he wants to wrestle the whole harbor into order. Then I look up. Just to the left, and across the valley, the temple of Artemis rises like a mountain made by hands. White columns, endless steps, a roof line that looks too clean to be real. It isn't just big, it's confident. It sits there like it expects the world to bow. Eden exhales. It's enormous. Joshua's mouth hangs open before he catches it and shuts it like it's something shameful. I've seen temples. I've seen Rome's pride wearing stone. But this one feels like a promise and a threat at the same time. "Greetings, Galileans." The voice comes from behind us, bright, amused, too calm to be accidental. A woman stands there with a basket on her hip like she belongs to the harbor. She wears a plain dark tunic and simple earrings. Her hair is pinned in a tight coil, highlighting her oval face. Her eyes are quick and clever. She smiles like she's been waiting for us. I narrow my eyes. "Do I know you?" She dips her head slightly. "Penelope." Eden blinks. Penelope's grin widens. "From John's church." "How did you—" Joshua starts. Penelope points a thumb back at the ship. "You stepped off a boat from Antioch. You're staring at the temple with your mouths open like a boy seeing an elephant. Who else would you be?" Eden's mouth twitches. We looked that obvious? Penelope shrugs. It's my job, Penelope says, turning brisk. To watch for apostles and get them off the harbor road before they're seen. I glance at Eden. She understands without words. Her hand briefly touches Joshua's elbow. Stay close. Penelope waves us forward. I'll lead you. Heads down. You can gawk later. Penelope leads us up the harbor road. Colonnades line the way, stone pillars and covered walkways that protect you from sun or rain. Water channels run alongside, the sound soft and steady, like a reminder that someone powerful made sure this city stays fed and clean. Joshua slows when the commercial agora opens before us, wide as a field, louder than a flock of gulls. Thousands of voices, hundreds of stalls, rows of jars and baskets and bolts of cloth. Men here sell everything: bread, wine, rope, oil, and hope. Joshua's gaze catches on the spice stalls. His face changes, studying. Alexander sells to these men, he says in a measured voice, a voice trying to avoid conflict. His spices are exported here. Trade between Antioch and Ephesus can help churches in both cities grow. Eden's head turns slowly toward him. Her eyes are not angry. They're weighing. Joshua glances at me, pleading for rescue. I don't rescue him, not from this. Charis's father uses the money he earns to host festivals to Teich, she says. He believes blessing is purchased. Joshua mutters, he says it's tradition. Eden answers without blinking. Tradition is often a polite name for fear. Joshua's jaw tightens. You make everything sound dirty. Not everything, Eden says. Only bargains dressed up as faith. Penelope keeps walking like she didn't hear. Because she did hear, and she knows the cure for family arguments is movement. Stay close, she says, eyes forward. If anyone asks, you're traders from Antioch. Quiet ones. Joshua scoffs. Quiet? Eden says, sweet as honey. Try it. It will be your new spiritual gift. Joshua opens his mouth. I cut in before the storm breaks. Listen, I say, and I keep my voice warm because Joshua is already carrying heat. Joshua's eyes flick to mine. But I stop walking. Eden stops. Even Penelope pauses, one hand lifted as if she's holding the whole street back for us. I face Joshua in the shadow of the colonnade, not the place I envisioned telling him my dream. You've told us your dream, but I haven't shared mine. My dream is for you to take over my ministry, I say. Joshua blinks. What? Eden's breath catches once, small, quick. I want you to take it, I repeat. Not Taishi's purchased blessings. This. I gesture up toward the hill we can't see yet, but I can feel it, like a table pulling us. This is what matters. Joshua's throat works. But I'm not. You're exactly the kind of man God uses, I tell him. God doesn't use perfect men. All he needs are men with willing hearts, willing to trust and obey. God can take care of the rest. Joshua's eyes shine for one heartbeat. Then fear stamps it down. What if? He's heard my story so many times. He's afraid he won't be able to live up to the standard. We're standing with Jesus in front of a limestone cliff, and behind the pagan temple, the rock is split, forming a bottomless hole in the earth and the gate to Hades, the underworld. Jesus asked, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, Others say Elijah, and still others, Jeremiah or one of the prophets. But what about you? He asked. Who do you say I am? Overcome, I answered. You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Standing with Jesus at the entrance to Hades, he places the keys to heaven in my hands. And how did I reward his faith in me? I took him aside and challenged his teaching that he must go to Jerusalem, suffer, and be killed before being raised on the third day. Even now, after being forgiven, my words haunt me. Never, Lord. This shall never happen to you. I'll never forget the anger in his face, a rage directed at me for the first time. Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. He was so angry he shared my scolding with the others. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Those words, follow me, hit even harder, follow me. He first said this to me at the Sea of Galilee, and I obeyed. Left my wife to walk across Galilee, Judea, and Samaria. And yet he said I hadn't begun to follow him. Almost a whisper, I say. I've failed more times. Eden's voice cuts in. Peter. What? I ask. You're being dramatic, she says. Joshua lets out a surprised laugh. I grin. Eden is a blessing to me, constantly reminding me I am blessed and forgiven. Fine, I've failed plenty, and God has always been bigger than my failure. Eden's mouth twitches. Better. I step closer to Joshua, lower my voice. Just watch, I say. Joshua frowns. Watch what? At Mary's, I tell him. Watch how people treat each other there. Watch John, steady as a mast in bad wind. Watch Damaris. She serves without keeping a ledger. Watch Mary. She has almost nothing left, yet she still gives. Joshua swallows. His hands unclench without him noticing. What will that show me? He asks. I keep my voice plain. You'll see a different kind of worth, Joshua. Something money can't buy. Joshua looks away. His voice turns small. And you think I should choose that instead of safety? I swallow. I think you should choose love. Penelope clears her throat loudly, as if reminding us we're standing in a city that listens. If you're finished planning his future, follow me, while Mary still has one. I quietly take another scolding as we walk toward the theater. Penelope leads us onto Curates Street. The stone road slopes gently upward. It's lined with columns and statues, lamps mounted on posts, shops with bright fronts, and people who walk like they belong. Penelope turns guide, pointing as she walks. That way is John's house, not far. She tilts her head to the left. Those are temple clerks, cloaks. Her elbow points right. Priests and priestesses, white robes, gold trim, don't stare. Joshua stares anyway. A priestess passes, and her gold trim flashes like a fish scale in sun. She doesn't look at us, and that somehow feels worse. Penelope tilts her head, subtly pointing out the priests standing in shadows, near the Caressos gate. Once we pass under it, the city noise thins. The air changes. Less incense, more pine. The road begins to climb. My legs complain. I ignore them. I've walked worse hills for worse reasons. At last, the house appears. A woman stands outside like she's been waiting. Her hair is pulled back. Her hands are red from work. Her eyes are sharp with worry that refuses to rest. She sees us, and relief hits her face. "Peter?" she asks, and her voice is quiet like she's afraid to wake danger. "Damaris?" I answer. She nods as she steps closer and touches my arm. "Before you go in," she says softly. She's frail. Penelope steps back, suddenly respectful. Joshua shifts behind me. Eden's hand finds my sleeve, steadying, not stopping. John appears at the doorway and pulls back a curtain. His hair is mostly gray now, his face lined, but his eyes are the same, steady as deep water. He gives a small nod that says everything without words. I step inside. Warmth hits my face. Herb, steam, wool, smoke from the brazier. And beneath it all, the thin scent of sickness. Mary lies near the hearth under blankets like winter piled on purpose. Hair thin and white. Skin too delicate for the world. Breath shallow, measured, each one bargained for. For a moment I can't move. This is Mary, the mother who held him, the courageous woman who stayed when I ran. Mary's eyelids flutter, her eyes open, still sharp. She sees me and a small smile touches her mouth. "Peter," she whispers. That one word breaks something in me. I drop to my knees. Stone bites. Pain shoots up my legs. "Mary," I say, and my voice cracks. "I'm here." Mary's gaze slides toward the room. "Who is there?" "I brought Eden and Joshua," I say. Mary's eyes soften. "Eden." Eden steps forward and takes Mary's hand carefully, like holding a bird. "We came," Eden says. Mary's fingers squeeze, weak but sure. "Good." I rise slowly and look back toward Joshua. He doesn't meet my eyes. He's watching the room. John's steadiness, Damaris's care, Eden's quiet strength, Mary's thin humor. A love you can't buy. Then from outside comes a faint sound. Distant voices on the path. Not loud, not close, but real. John's eyes flick toward the door. Damaris stills, listening.